Part 120. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1193. Zhang Zizai was surprised. After knowing that he had the soul of a god, he was still so confident. Could it be that he had made progress? Have you made a breakthrough? Zhang Zizai smiled. Your vision is not bad. I have reached the 6th level of the Divine King realm, Qin Yushan said. No wonder he is so confident. He relied on the reincarnation state to defeat him before. After all, he has the divine weapon and the inheritance of the gods. Basically, he now thinks that as long as he cannot enter the reincarnation state, Qin Yushan can return to the top of the supreme list. Moreover, he actually broke through the 1st level, and the progress he made was already huge. At his age, the entire Supreme Dragon clan has not had a 6th level Divine King for a long time. But what he didn't know was that when Zhang Zizai defeated him, he was only the 3rd level of the Divine Lord, but now he is the 5th level of the Divine Lord. His progress is much greater than that of Qin Yushan. If that was the case, he found it quite interesting. It was hard to find an opponent now, and Qin Yushan was indeed very good. It was rare that he broke through, and he was ready to make a move. Under his aggressiveness, Zhang Zizai suddenly said unexpectedly, since if you have broken through the 1st level, you still have some capital to challenge me, so I will reluctantly give you another chance. But after this opportunity is wasted, I will not pay attention to you in the future. If you defeat the same person twice in a row, there is no chance. You have the qualifications to show off your power in front of me. Qin Yushan couldn't believe his eyes. He had originally hidden the matter of improving his realm, fearing that Zhang Zizai would not dare to agree. Unexpectedly, he did not agree at first, but after learning that his realm had broken through, he agreed instead. This is clearly a heart higher than the sky. It's pride. He was so confident in himself that Qin Yushan was furious for the first time. He couldn't help but laugh and said, "You are so sure that you can still be lucky enough to enter the reincarnation state? Stop joking, I will fight with you. I no longer need to be in the reincarnation state. Also, don't make ink marks. Time is precious. Come up if you want a challenge." Faced with such a very competitive opponent, Zhang Zizai still gave him enough respect. After all, this is the only person in the entire Supreme Dragon clan who can compete with him in terms of talent. With his strength improving this time, he also wanted to try. Outside of the reincarnation state, could he still be able to defeat Qin Yushan, who had crushed him like last time? Zhang Zizai's words directly set off the scene. Unexpectedly, the smell of gunpowder was so strong all of a sudden. There were only a few hundred people present. Many people smelled that something big was about to happen and hurriedly went to notify others. Zhang Zizai and Qin Yushan face off again, and it's still exciting. However, they didn't have time to inform too many people, because just after Zhang Zizai agreed, Qin Yushan directly stepped onto a fighting platform and faced off against Zhang Zizai. The two of them really didn't say a word, and they just started fighting fiercely and roughly. Fight together. Qin Yushan's trump card is to use the Dragon Prison Scroll to protect his body, so that he will be invincible, and then use the Emperor Seal of Kishan, a God King level totem weapon to suppress him, and his totem is the Heaven and Earth Great Desolate Swastika Robbery Dragon. Fierce appeared, countless divine punishments erupted, and all kinds of thunder and lightning suddenly attacked Zhang Zizai. After breaking through to the 6th level of the Divine Lord, Qin Yushan was even more powerful than last time. His power in any aspect was much more terrifying. It was frightening to see. At the same time, they also saw the hope of their own dignity. People who shouted for Qin Yushan for a while. It's quite a lot. Facing Qin Yushan's stronger storm attack, Zhang Zizai didn't need to take action. His sons of the 4 heavenly artifacts began to protect him on their own. Chaos lightning gave him a speed that Qin Yushan could not touch. Although the platinum bell was not as good as the dragon prisoner picture, volume, but it can actually withstand very strong attacks. The purple fire sky wings allow Zhang Zizai to take off, fly at will, attack and defend, and the newly obtained Xuan to Heavy Realm has actually never had a chance to be used before. At this time, for the first time, Qin Yushin's face changed as he stood on the ground. The invisible black aura connected with the battle platform. The battle platform under his feet seemed to have a very strong suction for an instant. No matter where he went, his body became heavy. Several times, it is very laborious to do any movement. These sons of the heavenly artifact alone are equivalent to a small part of the power of the heavenly artifact. They can barely compete with the dragon prisoner scroll, which is enough to make Qin Yushin drink a pot. But the most terrifying thing was that Zhang Ziyu, under the suppression of the totem form of the chaos-swallowing sky dragon, threw out the Emperor Demon Sword Will in his hand. With a buzzing sound, the sword will dance began to break out. Originally, Qin Yushin suppressed him with the Kishan Emperor Seal. When Zhang Zizai's sword circled and flew into the sky, it instantly hit the Kishan Emperor Seal, making a harsh friction sound. People were shocked to see that the Kishan Emperor Seal let him. The Emperor Demon Sword Will flew straight away and was almost torn apart. Return. Without saying a word, Zhang Zizai directly swallowed a large amount of divine punishment with a black vortex, and then exploded out, engulfing Qin Yushin again. At this moment, the Emperor Demon Sword returned to his hand, and the clicking sound continued. In an instant, it formed into an épée. Zhang Zizai held the sword in both hands and exploded. Beast Way. The first sword of the six paths killing sword formation penetrated with one sword, creating a passage in the world of heaven and earth. In this passage, countless Emperor Demon Sword energy gathered into countless beasts, rushing towards Qin Yushin, and the moment he burst out with one move, the sword energy soared into the sky, and all of them were killed on the prison dragon scroll, almost engulfing Qin Yushin. Hungry Ghost Path. The second sword, the sword energy turned into evil ghosts, entangled from all directions, and for a while, ghosts cried and wolves howled, miserable and peerless. Qin Yushin had just resolved it, and was swallowed up by hungry ghosts again. The third sword, the Hell. This sword has been sublimated, and it penetrated with the sword, just like hell rushed out of the ground, the boiling oil pot and the sea of fire. Countless punishments were all transformed by sword energy, like a huge mouth, directly swallowed Qin Yushin, who had just fought his way out of the hungry ghost road again. At that moment Qin Yushin was simply desperate. But it didn't end at all. Zhang Zizai's next sword was called the Way of Man. Under this sword, he seemed to have millions of clones, and endless sword energy burst out and pierced through. This sword was a bit similar to the hungry ghost road, but the nature was completely different. Azura, at this sword, the sky was shining, and a group of fierce gods appeared, gathered together, and fell like a torrential rain. At this moment, Qin Yushin couldn't show up. The Way of Heaven, this was the last sword. This sword tore apart the heaven and earth. A beam of light fell from the sky, piercing through everything and going straight towards Qin Yushin. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1194. Zhang Zizai still had a backup plan. The next six paths would unify, which would be the most terrifying time. However, he still underestimated himself and overestimated Qin Yushin. At the moment when the Way of Heaven broke out, he penetrated part of it again. The prison dragon picture scroll once again threatened Qin Yushin. Bump. Qin Yushin flew out. Even though he was protected by the prisoner dragon scroll, his body was still dripping with blood and covered with sword marks. He fell directly under the battle platform and was a mess. The end can be said to be very shameful, and his opponent Zhang Zizai put away the Emperor Demon Sword Will and everything in a crushing manner, and said with a smile, "It seems that even if you reach the 6th level of the Divine Lord, you can't hide the fact that you are the defeated general. You have used the last chance, "So don't do it anymore," you screamed in front of me, "otherwise I would just treat you like a dog. Qin Yushan, you should just be your 1,000-year-old second in command." Qin Yushan struggled to get up. His face was extremely gloomy, but he truly knew that he had lost. He was completely suppressed and had no chance of winning. This was the most desperate feeling in his life. This defeat was more important than the last time. He was even more desperate. He lost to Samsara last time, and this time he lost to Zhang Zizai. There was hope last time, but this time there was despair. He struggled to get up, but found that he had no strength at all. The pain all over his body told him that the Emperor Demon Sword Chi had entered his body. If he didn't go back to control it, he might be injured even more seriously. At this time, Su Qianyu and Lu Dingxing also finished today's challenge mission. They were no longer surprised by Zhang Zizai's progress. "Let's go back together." Zhang Zizai thought that it would be great if he could secretly bring them into the ancestral dragon pagoda to practice. It was not allowed according to the disciple rules, because the ancestral dragon pagoda was also guarded by dedicated people, but Zhang Zizai did not let Zhang Zizai see it. But he remembered the evolutionary world. If the evolutionary world can use it, it can probably be completed after all. He is a bold person, thinking that next time, maybe he can try it with Yan'er. The training effect of the ancestral dragon pagoda is indeed amazing, much better than that of the hidden dragon sea. The Supreme Dragon clan spends too much effort in cultivating geniuses. After returning, Zhang Zizai chatted with them about their progress and future. Their current talents were actually very good, but they still needed time. "Let's go to the Holy Dragon Mountain together." Long Yan knew that he had just broken through to the 5th level of the Divine Lord this time, and he would definitely go to the Holy Dragon Mountain to find the son of the 5th divine weapon. At this time, the Heavenly Dragon God King had just returned. Zhang Zizai did not answer Long Yan because he knew what the Heavenly Dragon God King had gone to do. "Is there any news?" he asked hurriedly. The Heavenly Dragon God King shook his head and said, "I have asked many people, but I have never heard of such a situation where the entire world disappears. I have been looking for it in the well of God's domain for a while, but I really don't have a clue. This can be regarded as something I have encountered in my life. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Even many gods think it's impossible for such a thing to happen. Does that mean that the person who caused this change is probably stronger than most gods?" Zhang Zizai was a little disappointed. The disappearance of Qingyang realm and origin continent was so strange that it was impossible to understand. The key is that he still has so many important people among them. I'll go ahead and see if I can ask the 4 dragon emperors next time. They have a long history and are well informed. They will be interested in the world where immortals live. Maybe they can also find a way to defeat them here. "Immortal Lord's method," said the Heavenly Dragon God King. "It's better not to." Zhang Zizai frowned and asked them to find a way to defeat the Immortal Lord. "Wouldn't it be? The bell would be dangerous anyway." "I know, that's why I came to save your opinion." The Heavenly Dragon God King smiled. He didn't ask. In fact, he was just worried about this. He happened to come back this time and took Zhang Zizai into the Holy Dragon Mountain. In fact, with Zhang Zizai's current status, there was no problem in entering the Holy Dragon Mountain. After bringing Zhang Zizai and Yan'er into the Holy Dragon Mountain, the Heavenly Dragon God King went back, and they went directly to the other 5 giant bells. This time Zhang Zizai went to the Chaos Wooden Bell. The eternal Chaos Redwood Tribulation Dragon appeared in the Chaos Wooden Clock. It was a huge wooden bell that looked rusty and could be broken at any time. Even the Shenlong looked very old, but inside it in the spiritual world, Zhang Zizai saw endless lush forests and countless towering ancient trees piled together. The leaves of those towering ancient trees were all red, vaguely forming a red dragon. The endless vitality made Zhang Zizai feel refreshed. He felt it with his strength, and once again, no surprise, when he came out, a small red dragon was entangled in his body. shuttling inside and outside his body. Whenever this small red dragon entered the inside of his body, he could feel the endless warmth. It is said that the power of the chaos wooden clock is called redwood vitality. It can provide me with a steady stream of vitality, which is equivalent to an immortal body. As long as I don't die directly in battle, the recovery ability of my divine body will be very terrifying. With the fifth son of heavenly artifact in hand, Zhang Zizai strengthened again, and now there are only 4 sons of heavenly artifact left. Maybe some people are already wondering whether one day in the future, Zhang Zizai will really get the 9 dragons chaos divine bell. Zhang Zizai wanted to try to sneak Yanner to Zilong Pagodan next, so when she was about to stay and practice, Zhang Zizai was about to take him out. When they turned around, they saw 2 people watching them silently in the distance. They were Mu Xiaoao and Tuabas Yet. They hid far away. When Zhang Zizai looked over, they quickly turned their eyes away and did not dare to look at him. From the first son of the heavenly artifact to the fifth son of the heavenly artifact, they were probably numb. Zhang Zizai ignored them. He first found a place to send Yanner into the evolution realm, and then returned to the 10th floor of the ancestral dragon tower. Next, he opened the door to the evolution realm in the ancestral dragon tower. When he entered, Yanner had been waiting here for a long time. "Are you sure you want to do this? Will the ancestral dragon tower dislike it? After all, you are breaking the rules," Long Yan said. "It's okay. If it were someone else, I really wouldn't dare to bring them in casually, but for you, it should be no problem," Zhang Zizai said. "Why?" "Because, in the Zilong Academy, you and I are the same." Zhang Zizai believed that she could actually get a lot of luck, such as the mirror god appearance. He could feel that this place was friendly to both of them. Yanner would be able to enter the Zilong Tower sooner or later. He just let her practice here in advance. Anyway, no one knew, not even King Mulongzun would come in. So, they came to the 10th floor of the Zilong Tower. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1195. Zhang Zizai didn't know how daring he was to bring people into the ancestral dragon tower without permission. If people knew about it, it would definitely be a serious crime. Unfortunately, he was almost certain that it would not be easy for others to find out. After arriving at the 10th floor of the ancestral dragon tower, Yanner also began to go with the flow. She looked around curiously, but found that everything was almost the same. There was nothing inside, only endless divine spirit, and then a special atmosphere of cultivation. In such a wonderful world, it seemed that her heart became much clearer. Brother Zizai, she still had some inexplicable fear of the surroundings, so she followed Zhang Zizai closely. "Don't worry, just relax and practice casually. No one will disturb me this time. I plan to stay in seclusion for a longer time, spend a year or 2, maybe I can get close to the God King directly, and I won't care about those things outside," Zhang Zizai said. Last time, he broke through a realm in a month, which made him realize that he could make a sprint to the entire God realm in one go. After all, after obtaining the 2 great fortunes of the heavenly God soul and the heart of the true dragon of reincarnation, he felt that the cultivation of the God realm was no longer difficult at all, and it was a smooth journey. That is why he brought Yanner in. After all, with a beautiful woman by his side, he would not be so lonely, and it would also be of great benefit to her. As for Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, they were not the totems of the god dragon after all, and they might not be suitable for the ancestral dragon tower. Moreover, it would be embarrassing for 3 grown men to stare at each other for a long time. It was not as interesting as Yanner following him with eager eyes. Be quiet and practice as a totem beast. When Zhang Zizai was not familiar with weapons and practicing battle tactics, he basically practiced in the state of a totem beast. He transformed into the black and cold dragon, wandering in the ancestral dragon tower, absorbing the spirit of the gods, and continuing to condense the totem god image. OK Longyan transformed into a blood-colored dragon, that is, the 9-layered purgatory dragon of death. Her body was surrounded by 9 layers of grey light circles, as if 9 worlds were connected in series on her body. When she was in human form, she was innocent and cute, but after turning into a dragon, she was gloomy and dark, like a dead girl. Such a contrast in one person, the combination of kindness and devil, sometimes makes people confused. But Zhang Zizai knew which one was the real her. Just as Zhang Zizai and her 2 dragons were flying side by side and began to practice, the blood eyes of the 9-layered purgatory dragon suddenly opened. Her expression was slightly shaken, staring at the front. She was uncertain at first, but soon, she exclaimed slightly, "Brother Zizai, there seems to be something in front." Zhang Zizai was curious. Since he was in this Zilong Tower, he seemed to have never seen anything else except the illusory dragon that appeared at the beginning. For him, he must have felt that there was nothing in it. He looked in the direction of Longyan's eyes, and suddenly saw a blood mist spreading in front of him. When the blood mist approached them, it suddenly turned into a pure blood dragon. The blood dragon seemed to have no characteristics, but it was actually full of murderous aura. It was the purest death and killing that Zhang Zizai had ever seen. It was a killing dragon that strangled everything. The endless blood and hideousness were not the same type as the previous illusory dragon. The latter was mysterious and illusory, so it would not make people uncomfortable. This is. Before they could react, the blood dragon phantom actually shrank and came towards Longyan's eyebrows. This process made Zhang Zizai stand there, because when the illusory dragon created the soul of the god for him, it was the same process. He had seen this blood-colored illusory dragon's shadow on the 4th floor of the Zilong Tower. It was the relief on the gate. He didn't know why it appeared on the 10th floor. Even if it existed, it should be on the 4th floor. This could only mean that the interior of the Zilong Tower might be common. Zhang Zizai and the others couldn't go to other levels, but the mystery inside could move freely and appear in various places. I have long felt that Yanner could also get some of the good fortune I got in the Zilong Academy because of her special bloodline. I didn't expect it to be true. This blood-colored illusory dragon is probably also creating the soul of the gods for her. This is of course a great thing. Seeing Yanner has the capital and progress, he is naturally happy. Such good fortune should be obtained by his own people. Zhang Zizai actually likes her to get more capital, because in this way, she may have enough capital to fight against the reincarnation calamity. If no one can help her at that time, she may be able to rely on her own ability to survive. If the soul of the gods can be condensed today, the future will be much more certain. Zhang Zizai quietly waited beside her to protect her. Now Yanner closed her eyes, as if she was sleeping. The light on her body was still shining. Zhang Zizai could clearly feel her changes. A kind of divine soul was being born in her whole body. Until a certain moment, she suddenly opened her eyes quietly. Zhang Zizai clearly felt that although it was not visible from the outside, she was completely different, especially in terms of temperament. She was really the kind of person who became more beautiful the more you looked at her. That mysterious and quiet look really made people want to explore. But she suddenly screamed, covered her eyes, and said in shame, "Brother Zizai, why don't you wear clothes?" Zhang Zizai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was obviously dressed well. Through this sentence, he had completely judged that she had achieved the divine soul like himself. When I first possessed the divine soul, I felt greatly improved at first, and it was difficult to control it for a while. I accidentally saw a lot of beauties bathing and changing clothes. So Zhang Zizai couldn't help but laugh, which made her face even redder, and said hurriedly, "Put your clothes on quickly." "Yanner, Whatever you think in your heart, you will see something. You have been exposed. It seems that you really have ulterior motives for me, Zhang Zile said with a smile. What do you mean? You are just acting like a hooligan, she said in a very thin voice. Zhang Zile had a headache, so he could only tell her patiently that she had definitely become a divine soul. Really? It seems that the soul has indeed become an entity and appeared in the sea of totems. It looks like the bloody dragon. Just now, after hearing this, she confirmed again and again that Zhang Zile finally put on his clothes. He probably knew what was going on, so his face turned even redder. As soon as Zhang Zile possessed the heavenly soul, she also achieved it. It seemed easy, but in fact Zhang Zile knew that except for Yan'er, no one else in the world could get the same thing as him when he came here. Good fortune. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1196. This is definitely due to her bloodline. As of today, her bloodline power has become more and more magical. I really can't figure out whose child she is, and how can she be so amazing. When she is more stable, she will probably be able to control it slowly. Her talent is really good. In fact, the heavenly soul seems to be not as useful as the heart of the true dragon of reincarnation. In fact, it is not the case. After having the heavenly soul, the mind and perception are particularly clear. This is the ultimate condition of the soul. Many things in cultivation are directly integrated. Therefore, in the rapid improvement of the realm, the heavenly soul actually plays a huge role. Zhang Zile just created a miracle, and Yan'er followed him to create a miracle. Zhang Zile can clearly feel that her future can keep up with him. Lu Dingxing and others can hardly keep up with him. Now Yan'er has become the only one who can still catch up with him and barely move forward. This is already quite good. Zhang Zile certainly wants to pile more on her, because this is probably the only way to prevent her from dying in the reincarnation calamity and becoming a regret for himself forever. Thank you, Brother Zile, she said gratefully. What are you thanking me for? We have failed to get married twice. This kind of fate is not something that ordinary people can have, haha, Zhang Zile joked. Yes, God has destined me not to marry you. It's more comfortable to live on my own, she smiled slightly. I didn't expect that she could joke like this. Zhang Zile looked at her smile and fell into the joy of an old father. He couldn't help but smile foolishly. He watched Yan'er change day by day. The girl who used to swing on the swing all day waiting for her parents to return is completely different. In fact, she is now more resilient than anyone else and is fearless of life and death. Feel it carefully. After achieving the heavenly soul, there will be many wonderful changes. She is also happy like a child, constantly touching and trying. I believe that she will soon be able to master it and even use it in battle. He also began to practice, and he made progress here day by day. About a month had passed, and he had not yet broken through. However, Yan'er had already entered the third level of the God Lord in advance, 2 levels away from him. With the power of her mirror image and the power of the killing ancient God source, plus the strong will of the heavenly soul, Zhang Zile estimated that she could have made it into the top 30 of the supreme list. Maybe, I can take you to the hidden dragon sea to try your luck again. Maybe you can get the same true dragon heart as me, Zhang Zile hoped. How is it possible? If it was so easy to get, it would have been taken away by someone long ago. I can't do it, Yan'er shook her head. In fact, she has never been so confident in herself. It's just that she still has to be strangely obedient to Zhang Zile's decisions. After all, she knows that Zhang Zile is doing his best to pave the way for her. In fact, it is also to make up for his anxiety and guilt in his heart, so she will let Zhang Zile make arrangements, as long as he can feel better and don't take all the blame for the reincarnation calamity on himself. Just when Zhang Zile was about to leave the 10th floor of the Zilong Tower, another incredible thing happened. He was about to send Yanner to the evolution world, when he suddenly saw a huge monster coming towards him in front of the Zilong Tower, which scared him so much that he quickly closed the evolution world. He thought someone else had come in. "There's one behind as well." Long Yan suddenly pointed behind him and said. Zhang Zizai looked back and saw another shadow approaching behind him. Although it was not big, it seemed very mysterious and a bit numbing. He looked carefully and saw that the huge monster in front looked like a huge island, or even a dragon-shaped continent. It was an endless land with flowers, trees, sun, moon, and stars. You could see everything, but there were no living creatures. Behind him was an illusory river, a bit like the river in the Taixu universe, representing the passage of time, and this river was a bit chaotic. It was running towards the distance, but occasionally it would flow backwards and stir up the water, splashing all over the sky. Zhang Zizai remembered that this continent was the relief he saw on the gate of the 9th floor of the Zilong Tower. This continent would also transform into a dragon. The same was true for the river behind him. It was the relief he saw on the gate of the 8th floor of the Zilong Tower. He didn't expect them to appear. In the blink of an eye, the endless continent turned into a dim yellow dragon. The surrounding space trembled, and the world was in its control. The transparent river behind him also turned into a light blue dragon. The two dragons gathered together. This time, they didn't look for Long Yan again, but pointed directly at Zhang Zizai. Before Zhang Zizai could react, they merged together. In the first moment, the two dragons entered the center of Zhang Zizai's eyebrows. The next moment, the two dragons came to the Totem Sea and instantly merged with Zhang Zizai's God Soul. In an instant, it was like the fusion of three dragons. Zhang Zizai's dragon soul was constantly changing and instantly grew 3 times stronger. His spiritual will was also improved accordingly. The God soul was unprecedentedly powerful. Now, I'm afraid that everything in the entire Zilong Academy can't escape his sight. He could count the number of hairs on Yanner in front of him, which showed how powerful his God soul was now. It was indeed very difficult for the 3 dragons to gather together. And Zhang Zizai suddenly found that his time and space abilities in the totem suddenly became very powerful. The power of the infinite time-breaking blade, infinite sky-splitting slash, and the space-time cage were no worse than that of chaos devouring heaven. This was equivalent to the infinite space-time evolution source becoming the top-level God-King level evolution source, which resulted in Zhang Zizai having 2 God-King level totem abilities. He knew that this terrifying improvement must have come from the 2 dragon phantoms just now. The endless continent was the power of space, and the illusory river was the power of time. It was these 2 powers that made Zhang Zizai's former God-King level totem unprecedentedly strengthened, and even his God soul itself underwent a qualitative transformation. Before leaving, there was still such a harvest, which was simply amazing. After Zhang Zizai became familiar with the control, he made great progress. He smiled, because this meant that his future cultivation speed would be even faster. Although he and Yanner both had God souls, in fact, his God soul at the beginning was more than twice as strong as Yanner's, and now it is more than 5 times stronger. The spirits that have appeared in the Zilong Tower so far are from the 4th, 8th, 9th, and 10th floors. The others should still be there. We are waiting. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1197. The higher you go, the stronger the power will be. The 8th and 9th floors are the power of time and space. It is unclear what the 10th floor is, and the 4th floor should be bloody killing. They continued to practice and wait here, but after waiting for more than 10 days, there was no other change, so Zhang Zizai brought Long Yan out. At this time, Long Yan was also ready, so Zhang Zizai took her directly, and the 2 of them came to the Supreme Hidden Dragon battlefield again. It's Zhang Zizai again. Last time, it is said that he crushed and defeated Qin Yushan again, and Qin Yushan advanced to the 6th level of the God Lord, but still lost. and it is said that he did not open the reincarnation state last time. His appearance directly frightened many people, even if Zhang Zizai would not challenge them. Even outside the reverse time dragon formation, Zhang Zizai was not the opponent of most people here. When people saw that Zhang Zizai brought Long Yan to challenge, they relaxed a lot. This one is called Long Yan, the one who married him last time. They are now husband and wife, right? They are a couple. Even if they are not husband and wife, with Zhang Zizai's personality, he would have eaten this girl a long time ago. She is already a married woman, so no matter how beautiful she is, there is no need to think too much. You should be thankful that Zhang Zizai is not interested in the beauties on the beauty list, otherwise, it feels like he will kidnap them sooner or later. Then you overestimate him. He is only in his 20s. Many people on the beauty list are much older and stronger than him. No matter how talented he is, it will be useless. They are not of the same age, so there is no hope. Every time Zhang Zizai appears, there will basically be countless discussions focusing on him. At this time, someone has accepted Yanner's challenge. She is still in the 80s now. It will take some time to get into the top 30. However, Zhang Zizai can clearly see that it is not a problem for her to defeat the 4th level of the God Lord now, so she is really unstoppable when challenging those in the top 30. Maybe because Zhang Zizai came here, there were many more people in the Supreme Hidden Dragon battlefield. When many names on the Supreme list lit up, Yanner had a choice of who to challenge. Otherwise, she would have to wait for a month, which was a waste of time. Zhang Zizai wanted to take her to the Hidden Dragon Sea to try it out now. Even if there was no gain, at least she had tried. I heard that the immortal Venerable transferred her reincarnation calamity to this girl. It seems that she can only live for 10 years, and now it is estimated that there are less than 8 years left. Under the reincarnation calamity, even the gods can't do anything, so this girl will definitely not be able to escape the fate of death. So that's the case, then what's the point of her challenging the Supreme list now? Who knows, maybe she still wants to struggle. After all, waiting to die must be very uncomfortable, and she must be very resentful of Zhang Zizai in her heart. Why do you think the immortal Venerable did this? Is he still interested in Zhang Zizai? What kind of brain circuit is this? Do you know what identity difference is? For the life of the immortal Venerable, what is a short 30 years? As for why she did this? It just shows that she is a murderer who will take revenge for any slight. If you don't want something, just throw it away, and don't let others pick it up. This girl named Long Yan actually picked it up, so she must pay with her life. Does this have anything to do with caring about Zhang Zizai? To put it bluntly, it's a kind of revenge of a villain. It makes sense. I just don't know if Zhang Zizai likes this girl Yanner. It's a pity to watch her die at that time. Isn't it retribution? Don't talk nonsense. What is his status now? How dare you talk like this? Things are different now, brother. I know. Zhang Zizai and Long Yan came here together, which was bound to cause so much discussion. Although he could hear it, even clearly, he knew what everyone said, but he didn't take it to heart. He knew Yanner would definitely hear it all. There was still time. He gritted his teeth and swore that no matter what method he used, he would not owe her. This was the foundation of his life. If Yanner really left, then there would be an irreparable rift between him and Juxian for the rest of his life. He only took those discussions as encouragement, and all of this would only make him more determined. He must give her a better fortune. Now she was fighting fiercely on the stage, and it was almost easy to kill more than 30 people. After defeating the last opponent, she almost didn't spend any effort. Zhang Zizai took a look at the Supreme list. There were still many people in the top 20, probably attracted by him. He found that Huang Fufeng rushed back to Kanglonghai and was now ranked 25th. Another person was also here, that is Mu Xiaoxian, and now she is still ranked 28th, which means that she has not been defeated by the challenger below. These two people are here, who should he choose? Zhang Zizai asked Yanner to directly issue a letter of challenge to them, and whoever wants to fight can come down. You two, since you are here, don't hide and embarrass yourself. Who will come down? Being timid will only make people laugh, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. I'll do it. Just as he finished speaking, a female voice rang out. In Zhang Zizai's sight, Mu Xiaoxian, who was wearing a fluttering white dress and was stunningly holy, elegant, and charming, landed on the battlefield and appeared in front of Long Yan. She was in the top 10 on the beauty list. She was the essence of the beauty of the immortal dragon clan. She had always been admired. However, she was too smart to let Zhang Zizai get reincarnation once, which almost ruined her reputation. At that time, she was very depressed and her reputation plummeted. She was often pointed at by others, saying that she was deceived by Zhang Zizai. Maybe she had done something wrong. She had long wanted to re-establish her prestige, and today was the only chance. She could not fight with Zhang Zizai again, but if she could intercept Long Yan, she could at least clear her name. However, Long Yan did not think so much. To her, this was just an ordinary opponent. When she was the same age as Long Yan, she was at most the 4th level of the Divine Lord realm, and had not yet reached the 5th level. Now she was the 3rd level, and the opponent could not use the Divine King level totem weapon. Even if Mu Xiaoxian's true strength was the 9th level of the Divine Lord realm, on this platform, once they started fighting, they would directly crush each other. After possessing the heavenly soul, her battle logic became much clearer. This fight resulted in a direct crushing victory. The heaven-slaying Bloodthorn made Mu Xiaoxian in a state of embarrassment. Just like before the battle lasted for 30 breaths, Mu Xiaoxian was directly defeated and flew off the stage, falling flat on her face. She had completely lost her previous demeanor. When she got up, her eyes were red, but seeing that Long Yan was calm and composed, she didn't know how to hate her. She could only hate Zhang Zizai. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1198. Just wait and see. I'll wait. In a few years, I'll see you tear your heart apart and send her to hell, Mu Xiaoxian said ruthlessly. You have to pay a price for saying such things, Zhang Zizai said in a deep voice. What price? Outside the time-reversing dragon formation, even a little kid like you is no match for me. Mu Xiaoxian could only use this method to make herself confident and wash away the rumors about herself and Zhang Zizai. Remember what you said. Zhang Zizai saw that Yanner had replaced Mu Xiaoxian's ranking and successfully had the opportunity to enter the hidden dragon sea. In this case, he was too lazy to entangle with Mu Xiaoxian, so he took Yanner away from here, didn't stay much, and went directly to the hidden dragon sea. Don't care about what she said. Long Yan saw that Zhang Zizai was silent, and couldn't help but comforted her with heartache. It's not that I care, but I am more determined to think, Zhang Zizai said. What? Zhang Zizai smiled and said, you don't need to know, Yanner, we will walk the road together in the future. I will never let you fall behind. I was just a mortal at the beginning, and I didn't let her die. I don't believe that now that I have so many good fortunes, I can't even compete with the reincarnation calamity. She was stunned, nodded, and then suddenly smiled and said, yes, I have gained a lot of good fortunes recently, and it seems that I have a lot of hope. It is better to have confidence. Maybe I can get the same true dragon heart as you in Kanglong Sea later. Zhang Zizai was sweating profusely and said, don't say that, otherwise it won't work later. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. He went to Kanglong Sea, but he was not sure. He was just going to try his luck. This girl actually said that she could get the same true dragon heart as Zhang Zizai right away. Such optimism was obviously a prelude to disappointment. In fact, she was not optimistic. She just wanted Zhang Zizai to relax a little. Zhang Zizai valued her life and death more than himself. Not long after, they came to Kanglongsi, where Xuanhuan of the Xuanhu family was still guarding. Any changes in Kanglongsi on the Supreme List would be passed to him immediately. He had just received the news that Longyan had taken down Mu Xiaoxian and entered the top 20 of the Supreme List, and Zhang Zizai and the others came here. Dragon Sacrifice Master, can I go in? Zhang Zizai did not apply this time, he just wanted to see how Xuanhuan would react. Xuanhuan opened his eyes and glanced at him, curled his lips and said, whatever. He is now smart. If he does not get entangled with Zhang Zizai, he will be more comfortable. Once he gets entangled, he will suffer. Thank you very much. So, the two of them swaggered in. This girl does look good, but it's a pity that she is a short-lived ghost. Following Zhang Zizai, her life will be bad. After they went in, Xuanhuan smiled contemptuously, as if he was refreshed immediately after saying such a sentence. After visiting the Zilong Tower, you will find that the conditions here are relatively ordinary, especially compared with the 10th level of the Zilong Tower. They wandered in the vast sea. In fact, except for the last time, Zhang Zizai was confused about the true dragon heart, so he couldn't give Longyan a reference now. If Mu Xiaoxian could be brought to lead the way again, maybe there would be gains, but now the two of them are a bit like headless flies. Take your time, I said, it's not that easy to find the true dragon heart. Zhang Zizai folded his arms and said casually. He was ready to spend some time here. If there was no gain, he would return to the Zilong Tower to practice. In fact, there are still many people who get the ordinary true dragon heart. Many of the top 10 on the Supreme List have the true dragon heart. So Zhang Zizai also wanted to give her a little more capital. Just as Zhang Zizai finished her casual words, she suddenly froze and said, Brother Zizai, something is calling me, and it seems to be related to me by blood. What? Zhang Zizai was confused. They had just come in and had not yet sunk down. What did she mean by this? Longyan did not respond, and went directly in the direction of the call. Zhang Zizai hurriedly followed and asked, are you feeling wrong? It's not that simple. She did not reply, but her speed was getting faster and faster. She did not look for it at all, but locked a position and went directly there. There could only be one situation, that is, her feeling was very clear and there was no possibility of any mistake. Zhang Zizai hurriedly followed, chasing all the way, and finally she stopped in front. This Kanglongsi is the same everywhere, so Zhang Zizai didn't know where this place was, but when she stopped, Zhang Zizai suddenly saw that a heart appeared in the sea water in front of her slightly full chest. The heart was beating, very similar to the reincarnation, but slightly different. Then the next moment, the heart merged into her body and disappeared in front of Zhang Zizai. The heart of the true dragon really appeared? Damn! Zhang Zizai felt that it was difficult for him to get similar fortunes. Why did it seem so easy for her? Is her bloodline really so heaven-defying? Although she got more divine fusion in the Zilong Tower, she also got the soul of the heavenly god after all, and now, she got it easily. What good things! Judging from the situation just now, it should also be a top-level true dragon heart. When she completed the fusion, her temperament improved again. This was a transformation of her divine body. Zhang Zizai stood in front of her and admired her. He found that she was getting more and more beautiful. She was already breathtakingly beautiful. At this moment, she suddenly opened her eyes, and then suddenly disappeared completely in front of Zhang Zizai. This was a complete disappearance, nothing at all. Where did she go? Zhang Zizai asked. Right beside you, her body and soul have entered the state of nothingness, invisible and intangible, let alone attacking her voice echoed in his ears. Nothingness, Zhang Zizai's eyes widened. After obtaining the reincarnation, he had learned about other true dragon hearts. In addition to the reincarnation, the most famous one was the true dragon heart of nothingness. The true dragon heart of nothingness can make people completely enter the state of nothingness. This state can be easily controlled, not as difficult to trigger as the reincarnation state. Once the state of nothingness appears, even the gods cannot kill it. This is a true dragon heart that cannot die. It is absolutely useful for escaping, and no one can touch it. However, to attack others, the state of nothingness must be lifted. This is different from invisibility. Invisibility exists. If it is seen through, it will still be hit and killed, and the state of nothingness is from existence to nothingness. In addition to the state of nothingness, the heart of nothingness reincarnation is extremely close to the effect of reincarnation. It is said that there is more than a 95% chance of a person becoming a god. This value is almost the same as the 100% of reincarnation. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1199. Zhang Zizai was stunned. In fact, in a sense, the void and samsara are more useful. They can both enable Zhang Zizai to open their talents to the most terrifying degree, while the activation of the samsara state is much more difficult than the void state. Longyan has almost no restrictions on the use of the void state. No one can stop her from using it for sneak attacks and escapes. She can even switch between them continuously during battle. Of course, the terrifying thing about samsara is that once the samsara state is activated, it is possible to improve the realm after using it. For example, Zhang Zizai broke through after defeating Qin Yushin last time. It can be said that the two true dragon hearts each have their own heaven-defying features. In the Hidden Dragon Sea, samsara is almost the strongest true dragon heart that has ever appeared in history, so the void should be ranked second or third. Longyan basically has no problem becoming a god, and the speed of becoming a god will also be very fast. In this way, she has more powerful capital. Zhang Zizai believes that all these heaven-defying fortunes can lead her to resist the disaster from the reincarnation calamity. Zhang Zizai sincerely helped her. He had recently obtained the heavenly soul and the heart of the true dragon of reincarnation. He did not expect that she would have the same good fortune by relying on her magical bloodline. He knew that his specialness was mostly due to the totem from the god box, and more because of the black petals in the totem. Yanner was different from him. She relied purely on her own bloodline. Now, if she could put aside the reincarnation calamity, she would also have a bright future. However, they did not need to stay in the Hidden Dragon Sea. Zhang Zizai planned to continue to take her back to the ancestral dragon tower for cultivation. Moreover, this time, it was considered a real retreat. He had already explained to Lu Dingxing and the others that he might not come out for the next 6 months. Zhang Zizai wanted to use the talent that had skyrocketed during this period to make his cultivation realm explosively increase, and completely widen the gap with the geniuses on the supreme list. When in Kanglong Sea, Zhang Zizai transferred Longyan to the evolution realm, giving people the illusion that she would stay in Kanglong Sea to practice. Then he left Kanglong Sea and headed towards the Zilong Tower in the center of the Zilong Academy. He didn't expect to meet a person who surprised him on the way. "You actually came out of the Forbidden Dragon Mysterious Jade," Zhang Zizai said in surprise. The woman he saw walking hurriedly in front of him was Huangfu Li, who had tied Longyan to Jingshan, but was defeated by Zhang Zizai and was imprisoned in the Forbidden Dragon Mysterious Jade for 10 years. It's only been less than 2 years now, and she actually came out. It's probably because her Huangfu family has put a lot of pressure on the Tianlong God King, and the Tianlong God King probably saw that the disciples of the Huangfu family could no longer pose any threat to Zhang Zizai, so he didn't insist and let Huangfu Li out. After all, now with the King Mu Dragon Cauldron protecting his body, the God King couldn't kill Zhang Zizai, and Huangfu Feng and the others had no way to do it? It's you, Huangfu Li, who was arrogant and self-reliant, cursed Zhang Zizai every day during the torture of the forbidden dragon Xuanbi, and swore that she would make Zhang Zizai pay a heavy price after she came out. But a few days ago, after she came out, she learned that everything had changed. Zhang Zizai had been ranked first on the Supreme List, and was protected by the gods, becoming the future Bright Dragon Lord. She was completely stunned and didn't react for 3 days and 3 nights. She didn't know what she had missed in less than 2 years. Now when she saw Zhang Zizai again, she looked at him carefully, but she didn't think he was anything special. Seeing that this person was smiling at her, it was obvious that he was proud. The anger in her heart could not be controlled, and there was some momentum to explode. Don't be too happy too early when you succeed. You are so high now, and you will fall even more miserably in the future, Huangfu Li sneered. Then I have to smash you, the pig on the ground looking up at me, into a pork pie, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. How dare you humiliate me? Huangfu Li still couldn't change her mind. It was hard for her to admit that Zhang Zizai was the one everyone advised her not to provoke. However, she had made all the poisonous oaths in the forbidden dragon Xuanbi for such a long time. How could she forget it? Why not? Who are you now? Zhang Zizai was a person who would avenge his enemies. He didn't have a profound realm. Huangfu Li used to be arrogant and contemptuous. Now she was still like this when she met him again. Why should she be polite to her? Do you think this is the anti-time dragon formation? Huangfu Li sneered. In fact, Zhang Zizai's first place on the Supreme List was based on the anti-time dragon formation. Do you think that if it's not the anti-time dragon formation, you can continue to be your shrew? Zhang Zizai laughed dumbly. He knew Huangfu Li's true realm. With his current heavenly soul, he knew that the other party's current realm was the 7th level of the God Lord, which was a relatively strong strength among the God Lords. With the God King level totem, he might be similar to the Tianya God Lord of the small God realm, but is this realm very strong? Zhang Zizai, if I don't teach you a lesson, you really think you are a person. Today I will make you sober. Outside the Supreme Hidden Dragon battlefield, I want to abuse you. It's easy, Huangfu Li scolded and really took action first. It must be said that she really looks like a reckless man. Her temper can't be restrained at all. It is definitely spoiled. When she was able to display her true ability, she was indeed much stronger. It was a pity that she couldn't do anything to Zhang Zizai in Huanlong Mountain, let alone now. The 7th level of the Divine Lord realm is higher than Qin Yushan, and there are indeed some challenges, but for Zhang Zizai, the difficulty is not very great. The battle was about to break out, and the opponent's million sky-breaking silver blade dragon totem was very amazing. Unfortunately, Zhang Zizai's current changes were not what she could imagine. In front of her, Zhang Zizai used the Emperor Demon Sword Will to kill an infinite time-breaking blade and directly freeze it. Sure enough, after the 2 dragon phantoms in the ancestral dragon tower merged into the heavenly god soul, his ability in time and space was completely upgraded to the ability level of the Divine King Totem, or even higher. Judging from the outbreak of the infinite time-breaking blade, an opponent like Huangfu Li was completely suppressed. Sky-breaking slash. Another sword burst out after the time-breaking blade. The burst of the sky-splitting slash instantly made the space around Huangfu Li chaotic. The sword energy burst out in a rush, tearing her totem divine image apart. When she wanted to struggle, Zhang Zizai's next method had already rushed over. The 5 Emperors' dragon seal directly suppressed her head. Huangfu Li used all her strength and was suppressed to the point of bleeding. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1200. Her 2 thighs were directly shaken into the ground. Under Zhang Zizai's attack, she was half buried, and the part left outside was pale and unable to move. She looked at Zhang Zizai with a miserable face. She was completely stunned. Just when she was about to curse, Zhang Ziyi stepped on her face and walked directly over her face, saying, from now on, you have to learn to shut up." Being stepped on like this, her face was covered with bloody shoe prints. She was stunned for a moment, and then she couldn't help crying. She had entered a state of despair and collapse. When she got up from the ground, Zhang Ziyi has gone far. Xiao Li, a man from a distance, quickly came over and quickly picked up Huang Fulai. "Brother, you must avenge me, you must avenge me," Huang Fulai said sadly, his whole body trembling. "Did he defeat you?" Huang Fufeng looked gloomy. "Well, I can't resist," Huang Fulai said desperately. She originally thought that no matter how defiant the opponent was, she would never lose to him if he encountered him outside the time reverse dragon formation. But now, her worldview has completely collapsed. "I understand." Huang Fufeng gritted his teeth, his face as gloomy as water. Returning to the 10th level of the Ancestral Dragon Pagoda, Zhang Ziyi asked Long Yan to come over again. Now that their talents in cultivation were comparable, he was very reassured about Long Yan. As long as she was given a training environment like the Ancestral Dragon Pagoda, she would probably his progress will not be much worse than his own. After bringing her here, Zhang Ziyi transformed into a chaotic sky-swallowing dragon, practiced with the totem god form, and drifted with the tide in the 10th level of the Ancestral Dragon Tower. The Heavenly Dragon God King and others all know that he has begun to retreat, so basically no one will bother him. After all, everyone is very busy. Throughout Zilong Academy, cultivation and competition are still the main themes. During Zhang Ziyi's retreat, the Zilong Academy became much quieter. Although there was continuous progress and competition among the disciples, there was basically no major conflict. It is worth mentioning that Lu Dingxing and Suqianyu's rankings on the Supreme List have improved very quickly. Seeing their rapid progress, people naturally speculate that Zhang Ziyi's progress will only be greater. Many people now know what state Zhang Ziyi was in when he was in the Bright Dragon clan. It is said that when he first came to the Sacrifice Dragon God realm, he had just become a god. In less than 4 years now, he has reached the 5th level of the Divine Lord. This progress is breathtaking. At this time, Zhang Ziyi, at least in terms of talent, was already the #1 person in the entire Dragon Sacrifice God realm. Qin Yushan has been completely compared, especially when it was heard that Zhang Ziyi had defeated Huang Fulai, the 7th level Divine King, head-on, which caused some sensation. In a few years, he will probably be able to compete with the God King. He is only in his 20s, which is really scary. After all, the 100-year-old God King is a super genius who only comes across once in a million years. People's evaluation of Zhang Ziyi, at least in terms of talent, is beyond doubt. In the blink of an eye, people had not heard from Zhang Ziyi for half a year. In fact, Zhang Ziyi has been quietly retreating for half a year. During these 6 months, he has been immersed in the state of cultivation every day and night. Time seems to have passed very quickly. In the 2nd month of seclusion, he had successfully broken through to the 6th level of the Divine Lord, catching up with Qin Yushan's realm. Every subsequent breakthrough by Qin Yushan may take several years, or even more than 10 years, but on Zhang Ziyi's side, the advantages of the Samsara True Dragon's Heart and the Divine Soul were fully demonstrated. In 1 month, he broke through to the 5th level of the Divine Lord. Then in less than 3 months, he broke through to the 6th level of the Divine Lord. Finally, after half a year of seclusion, in more than 4 months, he sprinted directly to the 7th level of the Divine Lord. He was sure that Qin Yushan at this time was not at the 7th level of the Divine Lord. Mainly because he has the heart of a true dragon, his totem form solidifies very quickly. Zhang Ziyi has almost seen that, given time, when this totem form becomes a reality, it will be when he becomes the God King. What kind of power does the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm possess? He has been in seclusion for half a year. Naturally, he urgently needs to go out and give it a try. Blind cultivation will not work. In the end, he still needs to withstand the test of battle to integrate many doubtful aspects and achieve a real breakthrough. But he estimated that even if he was not in the time reverse dragon formation, he could almost walk sideways in the ancestral Dragon Academy. Those brothers and sisters who are close to 100 years old, or hundreds of years old, no longer have the strength to crush Zhang Zizai. Of course, for Yan'er, he stayed in seclusion for an extra month and waited for her. Until she also broke through the two realms during the whole retreat process and reached the 5th level of Divine Lord. You have the mirror divine aspect, the source of killing ancient gods, the heart of the true dragon of nothingness and the divine soul. Your realm has also reached the 5th level of the Divine Lord, and you also have the 9th level of Death Purgatory. Your current strength can definitely be in the top 10 on the Supreme list, except for the Divine Lord. Qin Yushan, who has the inheritance of the gods in the 6th level, you should be able to take down the others. Since you have this strength, there is no need to hide and sneak to the ancestral dragon tower, just go out and challenge, and you can also test your current strength. Seeing her progress, Zhang Zizai is particularly pleased. Now Yan'er is the person closest to him in terms of talent. To be honest, Zhang Zizai feels that even Qin Yushan is far behind the others. It won't be long before Long Yan reaches the 6th level of the Divine Lord. Seriously, even if he had the divine weapon, he might not be able to resist the fate of defeat. Okay, Yan'er was calm in her heart. She was a person who could treat everything with a normal heart, gentle as jade. In fact, at this time, no matter who saw them, they would think that they were a perfect match. They were of the same age, the same level, similar talents and complementary personalities. Let's go to the Holy Dragon Mountain first. The thing that Zhang Zizai valued most at the moment was the 9-dragon Chaos God Bell in the Holy Dragon Mountain. That was a heavenly artifact created by heaven and earth. He had now obtained the son of 5 heavenly artifacts. According to the current progress, he might have the opportunity to touch the real 9-dragon Chaos God Bell when he was at the 9th level of the god. The terrible King Mulongzun and the others were all looking forward to this world, so he had already ordered that as long as Zhang Zizai wanted to enter the Holy Dragon Mountain, no one could stop him. Just like that, after Zhang Zizai and Long Yan left the ancestral dragon tower, they came to the Holy Dragon Mountain again. He entered it and went directly towards the direction of the Chaos Water Clock. It was a giant green bell with rippling water around it, like a turquoise lake, clear, natural, and contented. When looking closely, he could see an emerald green dragon entrenched in it, with rippling water on its body, which was very beautiful. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1201. Dear, the domain name of this website, the abbreviation of 166 novel is homophonic, it is easy to remember. Highly recommended for good-looking novels, pure text updates the fastest. He used the extremely powerful 5 Emperor's Dragon Seal at this moment to hit the Chaos Water Clock, making the loudest sound in history. This vibration attracted many people in the Holy Dragon Mountain to come here. When they came here at that moment, he suddenly saw a young girl waiting by the side, quiet and natural, unconcerned with the world. In front of her, Zhang Zizai had already harvested an emerald green dragon, surrounding him, playing games with other dragons naughtily. Zhang Zizai's body was now entangled by 6 divine dragons. Now, the entire Zilong Academy knows that every time he breaks through the 1st level, he can get a son of a divine weapon in the Holy Dragon Mountain. This means that his realm is already the 6th level of the Divine Lord. It's so fast. This kind of cultivation speed is unprecedented and unprecedented. Qin Yushan has been completely surpassed and there is no chance of him catching up again. It's so fast. Why is it so difficult for us to practice? I haven't broken through to the 6th level in 10 years. You are already pretty good. Outside the Zilong Academy, it is difficult to break through the 1st level in 100 years. Is this Zhang Zizai really from the small god realm? He is stronger than the heirs inherited by the previous Shenlong Heavenly Emperor. It is so unbelievable that it makes people tremble. To this day, no one has questioned Zhang Ziu's talent and achievements in cultivation. They use the word freak to describe Zhang Ziu, which is perfect. This is the sacred Dragon Mountain. The speaker is already one of the top 100 people in the Zilong Academy. Before they came to the Zilong Academy, they were all peerless geniuses that outsiders looked up to. But now in front of Zhang Zizai, they feel like a waste. Among them, Mu Xiaoao and Twabaxi were among the crowd. Of course, there is also Mu Xiaoxian who was sent to the Holy Dragon Mountain by Long Yan. They are such dazzling sisters, but at this moment, no one pays attention to them at all. Only the embarrassment on his face could be comforted. Zhang Zizai didn't look at them. He was trying to figure out the ability of the Chaos Water Clock. The ability that the Green Dragon brought to him was called 10,000 Green Waves. It could form 10,000 ripples around his body, creating a Zhang Zizai resists and cuts down the enemy's attacks, twisting the opponent's ultimate move. This is actually a kind of defense, but different from the rigid defense of the Platinum Bell. The 10,000 green waves ripple, twist, using softness to overcome hardness. Sometimes it can have very good results. After getting familiar with it, he knew that these 10,000 green waves and the Platinum Bell had extremely strong defensive capabilities. However, he did not leave the Holy Dragon Mountain directly as people imagined, but went to another place. That is another part of the Holy Dragon Mountain. He went to the blue ice area. What does this mean? Get acquainted with it first? Wait until he reaches the 7th level of the Divine Lord before you come back. Probably, but it's probably not that easy to reach the 7th level of the Divine Lord. Even at his current incredible speed, it will take about 2 years. After all, the further you go in training, almost every level requires a higher level. 3 or 4 times the time. There are many difficulties that need to be overcome if you want to become the God King. In their eyes, Zhang Zizai broke through again in more than half a year, and it will take more than 2 years to do it next time, and this is already an amazing speed. Although they knew that Zhang Zizai wanted to get acquainted with him, most people still followed him. Speaking of which, this girl named Long Yan is quite pretty. In fact, Zhang Zizai also has good taste. Yeah, she's no worse than Mu Xiaoxian, right? Why doesn't anyone rank her in the top 10 beauties? Mu Xiaoxian is not outstanding among the top 10 beauties. It is Yun Lingxia and the others who are truly enchanting and captivating the nation. I know why Long Yan can't get in. It's naturally because her time is running out. Regardless of Zhang Zizai's current glory, there will be many sad times for him in 7 or 8 years. Stop talking nonsense like this at this time and let him hear it. If you feel uncomfortable, no one dares to provoke him now. Haha. I don't dare to provoke him, but as long as it's not the time reverse dragon formation, he can't do anything to me. I'm not far away from the God King. Zhang Zizai didn't care what they said. In the midst of people's attention, he came to the Chaos Ice Bell. This was the 7th Chaos Giant Bell. In front of him was a blue giant bell that looked like an ice sculpture. He was fascinated by it. It is a blue ice crystal dragon, very magnificent and beautiful. This is the Eternal Chaos Blue Ice Tribulation Dragon. It looks similar to the previous Eternal Chaos Green Water Tribulation Dragon, except that one has a cold temperament and the other has a gentle temperament. This is Zhang Zizai's 7th goal. So far, nothing has gone wrong. Under the attention of countless eyes, he once again attacked the Chaos Ice Bell with the Dragon Seal of the 5 Emperors. Then what he saw was an endless world of ice and snow, covered in ice for thousands of miles, and covered in ice. The weather is cold and the ground is freezing, and all life is dead. A small blue dragon appeared next to Zhang Zizai, turning into ice crystals and wrapping around his body. The son of the seventh heavenly artifact has been born. Its ability is called Frozen 1000 Miles. It is somewhat similar to the type of Chaos Earth Clock. Both of them can give Zhang Zizai create a realm of black earth, a realm frozen for thousands of miles, an offensive type of ability. Up to now, Zhang Zizai has obtained 7/9 of the abilities of the 9 dragons Chaos Divine Bell, leaving only 2. Unfortunately, the progress of the next 2 levels is the most difficult, so he still can't be anxious. He digested the eternal Chaos Blue Ice Tribulation. Dragon's ability, when he turned around to leave, he found dozens of people behind him, staring at him in shock. Zhang Zizai, you have reached the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm. Mu Xiaoxian asked with a dry mouth. Yes, Sister Mu, if you still want to sneak attack me now, you may not be able to defeat me, Zhang Zizai said without any concealment. She did not reply, her face had completely collapsed. After hesitating for a while, she suddenly softened completely and said softly, I was really wrong to oppose you before. From now on, you can tell me if you have any instructions. As long as my Xianlongmu family can help, I will definitely do my best. She has completely surrendered. Saying such words in public is obviously surrender, and it can even make the Xianlongmu family help Zhang Zizai. This is the action of a smart person. It was the shock that Zhang Zizai gave her after reaching the 7th level of the Divine Lord that made her completely surrender. Sure, I can let bygones be bygones, it's not a big deal. After all, who doesn't covet treasures, who can't be jealous? As long as you admit your mistakes, everything can be discussed. It's better to resolve a feud than to create one, right? Zhang Zizai said with a smile. You're right, Mu Xiaoxian smiled. No one laughed at her, Mu Xiaoxian, now, because it's not shameful to give in to Zhang Zizai now. Instead, people think she can really let go, and she doesn't seduce Zhang Zizai with her beauty anymore, but keeps a certain distance. M.166 novel reading website worth collecting by book friends. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1202. If you are interested, you can come to the Supreme Hidden Dragon battlefield again. After a while, I want Yanner to get a spot in the Ancestral Dragon Tower. Remember to come and watch, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Mu Xiaoxian knew Long Yan's talent. She was brought here by Long Yan. At that time, she was only at the 3rd level of the Divine Lord and did not have the heart of the true Dragon of Nothingness. Although it is indeed good, it is still a bit difficult to get into the top 10 of Zilong Tower. Then we'll see. She didn't laugh, because she knew that what Zhang Zizai said had come true so far. Zhang Zizai smiled and then left. This time he went directly to the Supreme Hidden Dragon battlefield to issue a challenge. Long Yan's situation was similar to his own. He only needed to challenge a dozen or so people on the Supreme list and then issue a challenge to the top 10. It happened to be there was a 17th person present today. Zhang Zizai didn't pay attention to who he was. After a battle, Long Yan easily defeated him and then launched a challenge to the top 10 on the Supreme list. The application has been accepted here and there will be one soon. Responded. Another special person challenged the top 10 on the Supreme list. Although the sensation and excitement this time was not as big as Zhang Zizai's, people were still very curious. The news spread thoroughly, and then the Zilong Pagoda agreed to accept the dragon in half a month. Zhang Zizai was also among those being challenged by Yan's challenge. Of course, it was impossible for Long Yan to challenge him. Her goal this time was 3rd place. After returning, he chatted with Lu Dingxing and the others about their progress and relaxed. Half a month came quickly. On this day, the heavenly dragon god king once again took them to the battle, but this time Zhang Zizai was watching the battle from the audience. He found that almost the entire everyone from Zilong Academy came, including Dragon Master King Mua, which gave Zhang Zizai a huge face. Seeing Zhang Zizai's first appearance in half a year, many people had already heard the news about his 7th level as a divine king. There was obviously more awe in their eyes, especially those who had been his opponents, such as Bai Mu from the Bright Dragon clan. Zhang Zizai even met him face to face. "Bai Mu, you're fine." Zhang Zizai smiled. Bai Mu shrank his neck, ducked a little, and said with an awkward smile, "Yes." After saying that, he hid in the crowd, fearing that Zhang Ziyi would retaliate against him at this time. People who once looked down upon are now beyond their reach. At this time, Yan'er, who is at the 5th level of the Divine Lord, has officially challenged the top 10 on the Supreme list. When Zhang Zizai challenged the top 10 on the Supreme ranking, he was only at the 3rd level of the Divine Lord. He relied on the reincarnation state to defeat Qin Yushan, who had the divine weapon at the 5th level of the Divine Lord. At that time, Zhang Zizai didn't even have a God King level totem weapon, and now Yan'er doesn't either. This was their disadvantage, and Long Yan's combat effectiveness was still slightly worse than Zhang Zizai at the same level. Of course, she was 2 levels higher than Zhang Zizai at that time. She was on the same level as the top 10 on the Supreme list, so it was very easy to fight. Let the war begin. She challenges the 10th place on the Supreme list. People originally thought that this was a fierce and evenly matched confrontation, but what they never expected was that it was indeed a one-sided crushing. Long Yan's speed could not catch up with his opponent. When he saw it, life and death had already passed. Under her control, in a flash, the Zushan Bloodthorn stabbed into the opponent's body cleanly and neatly. In an instant, the winner was determined and she entered the Zilong Tower directly. The shock she caused shocked the whole audience. While people admired her, they also looked at Zhang Zizai a few more times, because people always had a premonition that, the talent he had for several days was entirely due to Zhang Zizai. Then she challenged the 7th place on the Supreme ranking. The opponent she challenged was completely different from Zhang Zizai, because after Zhang Zizai entered the Supreme ranking, the original ranking order was completely disrupted. For example, Xiao Yeling is now 8th and escaped. One calamity, but she will be 9th in no time. Because, the battle between Long Yan and the 7th place also ended in an instant. She is now stronger than Zhang Zizai at that time. These people can't stop her at all. If there is a God King level totem weapon, Zhang Zizai estimates that she can't even compete with Qin Yushan. They can all compete. The crushing battle ended again, and she was already 7th on the Supreme list. Next, she challenged the 4th place on the Supreme list. The current 4th place is the daughter of the immortal Dragon Emperor. She is the 2nd ranked person on the beauty list, second only to Yunlingsha. Unfortunately, she has not had time to show her beauty. Let Long Yan directly crush and defeat him, which is simply breathtaking. Seeing her being defeated, Zhang Zizai noticed that Mu Xiaoxian smiled. Sure enough, struggles between women were everywhere. Both of them were beautiful girls from the immortal dragon celestial clan. It was normal for competition to exist. Mu Xiaoxian estimated that they were all suppressed by her for a long time. After reaching the 4th place on the Supreme list, Long Yan had 3 challenge targets, namely Xiaoyuan, Qin Yushan, and Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai had already seen that Xiaoyuan and Qin Yushan were a little nervous, but Yan'er did not let the suspense linger for too long. She chose to challenge the 3rd-placed King Xiao Ye. In fact, her challenge to the Supreme ranking was just to clear her name. It was an opportunity to practice openly in the Ancestral Dragon Tower without having to be secretive. It didn't matter which level she was at, because no matter which level she was at, Zhang Zizai would take her to the 10th level. Xiao Yuang, who was once the 2nd person on the Supreme list, was still crushed and defeated and became the 4th person on the Supreme list. He never expected that he would have such a difficult day. Brother Zizai, Do you still need to continue? After defeating King Xiaoye, Long Yan asked him, because so far today, she has not really shown her strength. Her current level, if coupled with the God King level totem weapon, should be barely comparable to Zhang Zizai at the 5th level of the God King. What do you think? I want to give it a try, she said. Then just follow your heart, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. So, she chose to challenge Qin Yushin, and the real suspenseful battle had just begun. Qin Yushin at this time was stronger than the Qin Yushin who was defeated by Zhang Zizai at that time. However, the pride in his heart had long disappeared. At this moment, facing Long Yan, he still needed to take a deep breath to give himself courage. In fact, Zhang Zizai knew that Yan'er lacked the means of absolute burst, so it was difficult to break his prison dragon scroll, so this might be a battle of attrition, and no one could do anything to anyone. However, Zhang Zizai found that he still underestimated Yan'er, because her 9-layer death purgatory, although it seemed to have little effect at first, but in the continuous consumption, it could even corrode the defense of the prison dragon scroll. As long as it penetrated, Qin Yushin would be weakened sooner or later.